In this lesson, you will learn how to report or pass on information that you hear or read. For example, when you pass on to, in other words, tell a friend what your teacher said to you in class. Or when you tell your sister what a journalist wrote in a newspaper article. We will focus on the word order of reported speech sentences. One reporting method is to report the exact words you hear or read. The grammatical term for this reporting method is direct speech. You will commonly see direct speech in novels and newspaper articles. Direct speech is indicated by its enclosure within speech marks, also called quotation marks. Here are some examples. Passing on direct speech is not difficult, but it is unnatural and rare in everyday spoken language. So the rest of this lesson will focus on the second reporting method, i.e. turning someone's exact words into your own version of them. This is called reported speech in this lesson, but it is also called indirect speech in some grammar books and online resources. Reported speech involves three participants: the originator of the information, the reporter who passes the information on to someone else, who is now the recipient of that passed on information. So let's first introduce the three participants in the examples in this lesson: Hugo, Sumin and Ahmed. The red face indicates the speaker in the two conversations. We will look mainly at the basic structure of reported speech sentences. The grammatical term is syntax. Here are reported speech examples of the most common sentence type or function, statements. Imagine that it is Sumin telling Ahmed what Hugo said to her. So he in each case refers to Hugo and I to Sumin. The first, red clause, in each case here is called the reporting clause. The most common verbs in the reporting clause are say, tell and ask. But as we shall see later, there are numerous alternatives which allow reporters to add their own interpretation when they pass on information that they hear or read. The second, blue clause, is the reported clause. It is this clause that contains the information that the reporter heard or read and wishes to pass on. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. Right, let's focus on the syntax or structure of reported statements. There is no big difficulty here. The reporter takes the originator's words and puts them in the same order in the reported clause. Of course, there are changes of pronoun, for instance, I and my in direct speech to he and his in reported speech, but no changes in word order. The same applies to negative sentences, as in these examples. That is, the reporter takes the originator's words and puts them in the same order in the reported clause. Hugo says he doesn't eat meat. He told me he can't play tennis tomorrow. He says he hasn't spoken to his mother recently. Reporting commands is also relatively easy. The examples here show that the reported clause adds the word to and is followed by the exact word spoken. Note that the reporting verb told is used when the original is more of a command, and the reporting verb asked is used when the original is more of a request. When reporting negative commands, you need to place the word not in front of the to infinitive. So it has to be, for example, he asked me not to tell anyone his secret, and he told me not to speak so fast. Reporting questions is a little more complex. As a reminder, there are two types of question in English: yes/no questions and WH questions. Both types of question are formed using the auxiliary verbs to be, to have and to do, as well as the modal auxiliaries can, must, will, should, etc. Let's start with yes-no questions and look at 4 examples which use the auxiliary to do. Hugo asks Sumin, does Ahmed speak Russian? Do you walk to school? Did you eat lunch today? Did you talk to Mary? The reported speech sentence simply replaces the auxiliary do in the direct speech question with if. This creates the normal subject-verb word order in statements. Hugo asked if you speak Russian. He asked me if I walked to school. He asked me if I had talked to Mary. He asked if my mother spoke English as a child. Note that in most cases whether can be used in place of if, but it doesn't always sound as natural. So if you are unsure, use if. Note also that me is optional when it's obvious or unimportant who was asked. And finally, wanted to know is another common way to start a reported speech question. A common learner's mistake is to forget the if and or to keep the auxiliary verb in the reported clause. So for example, he asked, do you speak Russian? And he asked me, did you talk to Mary? Are incorrect, as are the other 2 sentences. Note that it is also incorrect to keep the question mark in written reported questions. Questions using all the other auxiliaries except do are formed in a slightly different way when reported. Here are 4 examples. In each case, the word if is added and the subject and auxiliary are reversed to create the normal subject-verb word order in statements. So, for example, Hugo asked if I was hungry, and he asked if I could help him. You will no doubt have noticed that adding the if and reversing subject and auxiliary are not the only changes that have been made. For example, the pronouns have changed and the reported verb tense has changed. The tense change, called Backshift, is the subject of the second reported speech lesson. Other changes are covered briefly later this lesson. The second type of question is the so-called WH question. In other words, questions beginning with who, where, what, when, whose, why, which, and how. Again, we will start with questions containing the do auxiliary, which behaves differently to the other auxiliaries. Here are 4 examples. As with do auxiliary yes-no questions, the do auxiliary is removed in positive reported WH questions. But there is no need for an if because the WH question word is kept. Hugo asks where I lived as a child. He asked what I do at the weekends. He asked how I got to work today. And he asked why I'd said that. So, for example, he asks, why did you say that, is wrong. As for the syntax in reported speech of WH questions, with the other auxiliaries shown here, you just need to reverse the subject and auxiliary. Hugo asks why I was smiling. He asked where I had put his bag. He asked when he should be there. He asked what the matter was. Remember, we're going to look at tense change, i.e. backshift, in the reported clause in the second video lesson. We have concentrated on the word order, i.e. syntax changes in the reported clause of statements, commands and questions. Now let's have a brief look at 2 other changes. The first obvious change is pronouns. We've already seen this in all the examples so far. Compare the red nouns or pronouns in the direct speech sentences on the left with those in the reported speech on the right. The other change is in adverbs and determiners. We're going to assume that Sumin talks to Hugo in one place a week before she reports to Ahmed in a different place. Again, note the red changes. For example, here to there and tomorrow to the next day. You will find a link to a comprehensive list of these changes at the foot of the lesson index page. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. One last important point on this topic is that reporters often add their own interpretation to what the originator said by using a reporting verb other than the common says or asks. The interpretation is shown here in the red verb alternatives. And the final example shows how reporters often change the original words quite significantly. In this first lesson, we have looked mainly at the word order of the reported clause. Many examples use the natural tense change called backshift, as shown here. This is typically the biggest problem for learners of this grammatical topic. In the second lesson, we will look in depth at backshift, when to use it, and when you don't have to. Okay, we've come to the end of this first lesson on reported speech. Here is the important information in summary. In the description below this video, you will find a link to the lesson index page shown on the left. As you can see, there are 4 ways to access the content, as well as a glossary and links to quizzes and more information on the topic.